Hey everyone, it's Shay Seeking, and I'm back. Y'all know I always got something to say, I guess, nowadays. Um, I'm probably a little bit late because I don't really pay attention to these people so much anymore. But I still keep my ears to the pavement because I think it's important to do so um, in this sick world that we live in, where the sheeple or the people at the bottom, including me, um, are waking up a little bit. But then posts like this come up, and then I read some of the comments below, and I say, "Well, damn, I guess they still sleep." Okay, y'all seen the video that I did on Will Smith and his son. Um, you can agree or disagree. It's just my opinion as to what I'm seeing. After I have taken down, or I'm at a point in my life where I do not know, I don't in glorify these people anymore. I think there's a lot of idol worshipers out there that don't even know that that's what they're doing. Okay. Um, and this, I was talking to someone, they brought it up the other day. And then, I was going through and I seen a young lady on Facebook doing a video on it. And so I put two and two together as to what someone told me the other day and then what I was seeing in front of me. So I'm like, oh, is this what they're talking about? Okay. Well, the people down here at the bottom, we seem to think that all this over sexual things, all of this transgender stuff and everything, we're acting as if this is just come on the scene. What you need to know is deeply embedded in politics. Let's look at this is not the only person, but I just pulled this up real quick. You can probably Google the videos, creepy Joe Biden. And I don't know if this person is in the running to be president or not, but there are a whole bunch of people that are uncomfortable around this man. I've seen a video where some of this smooching and stuff was going on with other people's children in front of the camera, inappropriate touching of other people's children, and rubbing, caressing of women and mainly children. And even one of the guys that was up here on the stage with him saw him reaching out to touch his granddaughter, and he smacked his hand away from his granddaughter on the film. This little girl in this red dress was so uncomfortable. You should see the look in these girls' eyes when they get put in front of him that they're going to have to take a picture with them. It's like they would just rather be anywhere else in the world, right? So, and then I showed you the whole thing about Will Smith and everything. And again, we just want to be in our sleeping little in our little clouded judgment or our bubbles. We don't want we have the right to do this and we have the right to do that. And we're not understanding what's actually going on. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong for anybody to do whatever they want to do when it comes to what they do in their sexual things behind closed doors, right? I don't want to see anyone that is gay. I guess we can use that word. Kissing in public. Okay, I don't like it. Just this is just how I am. And I don't want to see anybody that is heterosexual kissing and tonguing each other down in public. That's just me. I don't think that schools should be able to tell you when it's time for your children to learn about um, sex ed. I think that is something that should be talked about with the parents. I look at the world differently because I've been tapped into a different view on things for a while now. And I've gone down the charts, just going through everything and looking at it again. When it comes to religion, there's always been a problem with little boys and girls being touched in church. There's always been a problem with coaches and stuff like. And I'm not saying that every single one of these people do these particular things, of course. But we look at these politicians. Most of these people are into some kind of stuff. I can't tell you because I'm not there exactly what it is. But I know that in Hollywood, gay and transgender, androgynous things have been going on there way a long time before you even could imagine, right? And I know that certain things were corsets, makeup, and all these other things. If you go back to the basis of things, this is what I like to do. Okay. While everybody else wants to do whatever else they want to do in the world, I am sitting here looking at the big picture. Okay. And I don't know it all, but this is what I spend my time and my brain power on. So for me, I've already looked at everything and I've come to the conclusion that something ain't right. I can't tell you exactly what it is. I can't tell you what it's not. I'm just telling you what it looked like to me. Okay. So when I'm looking at this picture of this Tyrese and his daughter, I was looking for the picture. I couldn't find it online. I had to go on Facebook, and luckily somebody had it up, and I took it from there. So we see here this. I don't even know who this is. I just clicked this picture because I wanted to compare it. If you have daughters like I do, I don't really want to pull up to a party and see you laying on your boyfriend like this. If you're a teenager or whatnot. Okay. This is an affectionate stance. This is something that people do because they're attracted to each other. It doesn't have to be every single time. It can happen by mistake. Something could happen that can be a pose that might, have been caught off guard or something. So, but I'm just saying, I could not imagine, like I said, walking up and seeing my daughter doing something like this at the beach or in public or something. So, for somebody to think that it's okay, see, because you don't understand that what they're doing is they already do this. They already have all kind of stuff going on behind closed doors. But what they want to do is make you okay with it. So a couple of people are upset because they can't be who they want to be. So they change the laws and say, okay, you fight for them to change the laws. You fight for them to change the law so that you can kill your babies and have abortions. And I'm not saying anything about people that have done that. That is a sensitive subject. And I am not saying anything about those people personally. I'm just bringing up the fact of how this system works. Okay. Then they show you a couple of real cases where people get hurt with guns, of course. And then they show you a couple of and it's funny, when we come to gun control, nobody talks about controlling the guns that the police use when they go around killing people and nobody gets to go to jail for it. Unarmed people. So when we're talking about gun control, why is it only against the civilians? Why aren't we talking about going back to the billy club when it comes to the police officers? Do you get my drift? Why is it just for you? So something happens, a mass shooting or something that somebody should have been aware of or whatever, or they get false flags in order to scare you so that you can fight for the right for them to remove um, your guns from you. So what I'm trying to say is all the time, okay? I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with people on a personal level. I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with um, race mixing per se, okay? But there comes a time when why were they wanting to be separate in the first place? Some people said God wanted it to be that way. There was laws set up for it to be that way. Why did they have it in the first place? Because then you'll know whatever happened for people to fight for the right to be able to marry. And then now what we have is um, a heavily all okay, all national races or whatever you want to call it are have been mixing. But when it comes to the so-called Negro, again, this is not only about you. I'm just talking about you because it has something to do with me. Okay, I have mixed people in my family. Okay, so I'm not talking bad about it, but I'm just saying once you start to look at it, it makes you feel a certain way that one day melanated people might not, heavily melanated people might not be a thing. Okay. But you have to understand that you've been led into seeing things the way you're led into seeing things the way that they want you to see them. So then, hey, you want to fight for the right to integrate? And if you go back and look at a lot of the sources from back then, they didn't want to. So-called black people didn't want to integrate after slavery. They wanted to do their own thing, but nobody wanted them to do their own thing because they needed them to integrate. Okay. So this was the worst thing that you could have ever done really at that particular time if you knew better in the future, if it's talking about the infrastructure and the power of economics and things that could have come behind that. Okay. So don't get my wires crossed. If you knew what it would do to us in the future and leave us stagnant, you probably would not have wanted to do so. Okay. Not just because of the color of people's skins and their mindset. I'm saying for the whole general purposes. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, we're getting off subject. But when it comes to this kind of things, they're normalizing something called pedophilia. They're talking about making it legal, something called pedophilia. We've been complaining that pedophilia and all this stuff is going on in the community and things, but we want to be loose when it comes to a man that is taking a picture of his 12-year-old that is almost 13, that is teenage years, that's almost as tall as he is, laying on top of him, his crotch, and nobody sees that there's something wrong with it. Nobody sees that there's something wrong with it. If you were at the park and you saw a dad and his daughter laying, if you were at the beach and you saw a dad and his daughter laying at the beach, let's separate idol worship from reality. If you saw a man at the beach with his daughter sitting on top of him like that, would you not be concerned? But no, because it's Tyrese and people love these beings. They want to be them. They want them. They fantasize about them. They have all these other ways of worshiping these people and what they say, what they wear, what they do. And it's not your fault. It's been set up that way. But once you know that this is going on, it's your fault because then you have to do something to alter that. Okay? So I just want to ask you a question. If this was a regular man on an everyday basis, or if you were gone away and you walked back into your backyard and you saw your husband with your 13-year-old daughter laying on top of him like this, and it's not like it's overly sexual or anything the way that it looks. It just looks inappropriate to me. If you walked and you saw that, you wouldn't be taken aback for a second, like, oh, what's going on? I mean, I'm just saying in reality. I'm just saying in reality. So I'm not saying anything bad about anything, but I know what's deeply, I've seen with my own eyes certain things that have revealed, and people have come out in Hollywood and said that these things are going on. You guys just take what they say, the storyline that they give. You take everything at face value, and you don't do any research. The television has been there for so long. The whole time that we've been altering and changing and getting kind of crazy, that thing has been sitting there the whole time. We've been watching half naked women and underwear commercials and, you know, inappropriate sex scenes on TV shows and in cartoons, and we think it's funny, and Disney and things like this. Even though Walt is said to be a pedophile, and they just arrested pedophiles all over Disney World and Disneyland. But it's okay. So, in my eyes, I don't agree with it. I don't like it. And if that did happen, I might not, you know, I don't know. I'm not a man, so I don't know. I'm not a man, I don't know. But I know that my husband would not be sitting there taking a picture with one of my daughters like that. And if he did, I'm going to have something to say. So, I think people need to check themselves. What they're doing is making that thin line between what's right and what's wrong, and you're going to follow them because they've been doing everything. We think we make decisions. You don't make any real decisions. Everything's decided for you, and then you're given a couple of options when you go to the grocery store, when you go here and you go there. Just a couple of options. So, I don't know. When I look at this, I'm not saying what it is, what it ain't. I'm just telling you what it looked like to me, and it looked inappropriate. And I don't know what other pictures we can see, but again, I don't even know a 13-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl that wants to sit on her dad like that. Okay, so I mean that just must be something that she's used to. I mean, and even if he was doing the airplane thing with her on his feet, when she fell down on him like that, then you remove her and you get up or whatever y'all do. You don't sit there enough time to take a photo. So again, you guys can think what you want to think. I'm just saying you need to open up your eyes because something that you take today could mean something very horrible in the future for you or your children. So, thanks for watching.